We're near my house in mid Wales. I'm going to take us to the next village along, which is called Powys. There's a railway station there and something else I want you to see. In Victorian times, this part of Wales, though rural, had a significant industrial component, and it is part of that industrial heritage that we will be looking at today. Powys has always been a communications hub, and over there in the fields there's a Roman road. Today I'm going to take you around and show you how you can see local history in the landscape. There's the Roman road over there, of course, but what I'm going to show you today is actually a disused railway. It used to run across the fields here and join this railway line over there where there are some buildings. We'll go and have a look. We've come across the road from the railway station, and that brick building you can see in the distance lies on the line of the old railway. The railway went a bit further to the left, but we're going to go to where it came from, which is on the right. We're on the edge of the village now, and I'm taking you to see where the railway crossed the river. The Romans crossed the river over there, but the railway crossed the river over here. And in the middle distance you can see 4 stumps, and those were stumps that supported the bridge. We're going to go on now beyond those cottages there. Now the interesting thing is that these houses mark the line of the railway, and we're going ahead to see where the railway crossed the road. This is a new road, but it follows the line of the railway. The railway went in front of these houses here, and you can just see the mark in the road where it crossed. Oh, there it is. And it went through that gate, and that's where we were just a few minutes earlier on. We're now about half a mile away from the railway station, and we're going to go through the gate over there and have a closer look at the railway line. We're now standing on the old railway, and it's quite obvious that there was something here, a track of some sort, but if you didn't know it was a railway, I don't think you'd guess. But the line of it is quite clear, and this fence marks its route. We're going on into the distance. Because of the haze you probably can't see, but there are hills in the distance, and we're going there. And using clues you might be able to work out what the railway was for. It did carry passengers, but that wasn't the main thing. We've gone a few hundred metres further on. You'd never guess, would you, that there had been a railway line here. Just in the distance, the middle distance, you can see a line of hedge there, and that is the railway line. But if somebody didn't point it out, you wouldn't know, would you? See how flat the land is, so perfect for a railway. I've brought us here to see a point where the Roman road comes through those trees over there and joins the modern road. This is essentially an agricultural area, so can you imagine the farm workers in Victorian times working in the fields and looking at the little train? The railway line diverges from the Roman road here, and it goes off in that direction, which is where we're going. Any thoughts about what the railway might have been for? The Romans came here, so think about things that Romans exploited. The railway's there amongst the trees in the distance, and there's a right of way here, so we're going to go down and have a closer look. So here we are, we've come down the right of way, and that's the railway line on the other side of the stream. If we could get across, we'd be able to walk along it. There is meant to be a crossing here, but I can't see it. That's where we were down there in the trees, and you can see the line quite clearly here going along. and it crosses the road down there and keeps going, and we're going to follow it along. Remember at the railway station I showed you the hills in the distance? We're here now, and although the settlement here has grown up and you can see the modern houses, there are still some old ones to be seen, and just above this very modern bungalow you can see a Wesleyan chapel. And a Wesleyan chapel, or any other non-conformist type of chapel, is a big sign that there were lots of working people around, and that's a big clue. We're just going down the hill a bit. There's something I want to show you. We've come down that hill there, and we're going to have a look at where the railway is perhaps the clearest. Just here, where it emerges out of the fields before arriving at its destination. That building used to be the village shop, and this one was the railway station. We're going to go a bit further down this road to have a closer look at the buildings on the right. I brought us down the road a little way, and we're now looking backwards the way we came. I want to show you those cottages on the left-hand side. They were built as miners' cottages, for this village, which is called Van, grew up alongside a lead mine, the Van lead mine. This is the houses 100 years ago. For me, the biggest difference after the presence of the tracks is the lack of vegetation. It looks a typical bleak industrial area. In 1881, when the mine was at its peak, 13 of the 18 heads of household were workers in the lead mine, and 13 other occupants were working at the mine too. Each house had 5 rooms. We're going to follow the road this way and look at where the mine buildings used to be. So we've come up the road, and that site there is the site of the mine, and everything's gone. Well, nearly everything. All the big buildings have gone, but if we go into the trees we will see a few remains. This section of old map shows the mine, and we are at the arrow point just about where the railway terminated. To give an indication of size, I've calculated that the village shop could have fitted 80 times into the footprint of the building that I've marked X. There's an interpretive board here which shows you what the mine would have looked like. We're going to go up this path. If we had been here 100 years ago, we'd now be inside a big brick-built building. And here you can see some of the infrastructure. We'll go on a little way further. We've come up a quite steep bit, and we're way past the terminus of the railway now. Over here there's a brick structure, and I think that was something to do with a watercourse. We're going to go along the road a bit further. The road peters out, but there's something along there that I want you to see. Something related to the mining, but not the mine itself. I've just met this interesting gentleman who can tell us a lot about what we're going to see. Off you go.
Okay, so I've been here 40 years and then went to this field trip, and I never realised why all of the mines on that side lost money and all of the mines on this side of the valley gained money. And the reason is that there was a shift, and so that okay, look at my gloves.
Yeah.
All of the levels on one side shifted like that.
Gosh.
And so that when they mined on that side, hoping that they'd get through to what they knew were the rich lodes on this side, they came across nothing. They came across this split, which they didn't realise in those days what it was.
Oh.
And it explains everything. The crack in the geology goes right underneath my house, the school.
Crikey.
And I'd always wondered why one side of the house was 4 inches lower than the other side of the house. And it's the split goes right the way through the house. The other things I found was all sorts of holes up there.
Yes.
That I always thought were farmers' drainage holes. Not a bit of it.
Tell us what they were.
They were entrances and exits and air shafts for the mine.
Well,
Absolutely fascinating.
This is fascinating because I've just been telling my students that unless somebody told you, you would never know what things on the landscape
the difficulty
are.
with everything these days is all of this semi-oral history has gone.
Yes.
And it's such a shame. Such a shame. I mean, there's so much around here. When I have friends visiting, which hasn't been for the last year, I take them around all of these shafts.
Yeah.
And they're absolutely fascinated. You know? For instance, did you know by the chimneys over there?
Yes.
You know, there's a shaft that collapsed.
Oh.
And the poor people who are living in the site, their place is blighted. They can't get insurance. They can't sell the place. It's a tragedy.
Yes.
Absolute tragedy. It's because these things weren't recorded properly.
Yes. Good heavens. Well, I'll get on with my walk now.
You get on with you and you enjoy yourself.
Thank you. See you on the way back.
Maybe.
Bye. Well, that was interesting, wasn't it? And there is the schoolhouse. I've calculated from the 1881 census that there were 97 school children at that time. 97 children in that one building. Although it is quite big, I'll see if we can get to see it from the other side. Well, just as you would never guess there was once a railway there, you'd never guess there was once a thriving community here, would you? It's like a ghost town. We've come further along the track now, and there's something I want to show you that you can maybe just see in the distance. And for me it symbolises the whole thing. Let's go a bit closer. Well, here we are. The reservoir manager's house, a total ruin now, and that just shows the whole situation, the end of a way of life, the end of the mining here. We're here now on the other side of the house, and you can see the view that the occupants would have had. But that view was for a particular reason, and the particular reason is here. There's the dam. This is the location marked on the 1902 map. We are at the spot marked Tir Llyn, which means lake house in Welsh. So that was the reservoir once, obviously empty now. You can just see the stones on the side. We'll walk across the top of the dam and look back at the house. So that's the end of the line. I hope you've enjoyed looking at history on the landscape.